Hello foodies! Today starts a brand new series of cooking with alcohol. And I don't mean me, I mean putting it in the food. So we're going to start with a classic vodka pasta sauce. So this kind of goes with starting a pasta series too, because a lot of my sauces actually do have, a lot of my pasta sauces do have alcohol in them. Anyway, I'm starting out with some olive oil and some shallots. Now you guys know there's a difference in olive oils, right? You want to use extra virgin only for marinades and dressings, not for frying. You just want to use, regular old olive oil. But here's a little secret ingredient, using some butter. That keeps the butter from browning too quickly when you're using it with olive oil, and obviously for flavor. So I'm going to add the butter, and once that's pretty much melted, then I put in my garlic. Because again, you don't want your garlic to get too brown, because then it gets really bitter. So I'm going to saute that for a couple of minutes before I add the next ingredient, which is some tomato paste. I love the stuff that comes in a tube, but for this recipe I needed a can because you need a little bit more than just a couple tablespoons. And I'm just going to mix that up as best I can with those little veggies there. And now for the good stuff, the vodka. So here's the thing, you don't need to use top shelf like you would probably drink, but you definitely don't want to go super cheap like Skoal. You want to have, oh my goodness, I forgot to turn that down. You want to have a decent vodka, something that you would drink. So you're going to mix that up, and once it has kind of made its own little sauce, now you're going to add some crushed tomatoes. Now I do use high-end crushed tomatoes, like the canned stuff, the San Marzano I think it's called, but it comes from a can. So I'm adding some sugar, and the reason for that is that it takes the taste of any sort of canny, tinny sort of flavor away from the tomatoes, and it cuts down on the acidity because you got a lot of tomato things going on here with the paste and the sauce. I mean, you could make your own tomato-based sauce, whirl them in a blender, but for convenience, I'm just using the canned. But it doesn't impart like a sweetness like you would think. So now I'm mixing this all up, and I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 minutes, bring it to a boil, and I'm going to stir it occasionally just to make sure that it doesn't burn on the bottom. Now as you can see, it starts popping. I'm sure everybody knows tomato sauce loves to spit all over the kitchen, especially in the microwave, but I do have a screen that I put over my pot. There it is. It's better than a screen because nothing gets through it, because sometimes the screens actually, the tomato sauce finds a way to get through. And so now after 10 minutes, it's come to a boil, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to add the final ingredients, which is heavy cream. And you're going to want to use a Parmesan that you've grated yourself, like from an actual thing of Parmesan. You don't want to use the jarred stuff here, not the stuff that comes in that green jar. You're not going to want to use that for this sauce. And I'm adding some pepper. I'm going to stir that all in. I wait till the very end to put in my salt. Depending on the brand of tomatoes you use, they might already have a pretty high sodium content, and your cheeses too. So, wait till the end and then, taste test it. And if it needs more, add it. I don't use a whole lot of salt, so for me it's perfect. Then add your pasta of choice. I'm using rigatoni that I've already pre-boiled and added some butter to, and now I'm adding it to the sauce. And then I reserve some pasta water from there, and I'm going to add that because I like my sauce to be more saucy, like me, in case I want to dip some garlic bread up in there. And it makes it better too if you have leftovers to reheat. It doesn't get so thick. So now just adding some more, getting it to that saucy consistency that we love. I think I used about half a pound of pasta here, and it conservatively feeds 2 people, 3 if you're feeding somebody who's not that hungry. And now I'm going to plate it up. I've got some fresh basil that I picked from my basil plant, and a little Romano cheese and some red pepper flakes. Manja!